Da-dum. Da-dum. Da-dum, 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 da-dum.
You loved to sing.
Did that get you?
Oh, for sure.
I looked in your eyes. You looked scared. Did you know what was coming
Or
for
did
you?
it look like I wanted to harpoon you?
Ah, shit. It was that. It was the latter. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. We are two best friends with a passion for horror, here to recap, analyze, laugh, and maybe even scream a little bit along the way. I am Emma, and as always, I am joined by the wonderful, sharky Allison.
I am Allison. I guess I am Sharky.
You are sharky, and I love that about you.
Okay. I'm the left Katy Perry backup shark.
Perfect. So, Allie, what the fuck have you been up to?
A bunch of nothing and a bunch of a lot, you know?
Oh, okay.
So I actually got to go to Carmel a couple weekends ago and see my in-laws. It was really pretty. The weather was beautiful. Had a lot of great food.
Arguably a very sharky place as well.
Probably. I think we probably have more sharks here than there.
We can debate about that later.
So I got to do that, and I've been doing a lot of Code Orange shopping.
Oh, yes.
We are in July, which means it's almost October.
That's crazy
Yes.
to say.
So a lot of stores are putting out some preliminary spooky items, and I got some cool ass shit. So been doing that, and I've been eating a lot of Jolly Ranchers, so you're welcome.
So in case anyone needs to know, that's Allie's new favorite snack.
Watermelon specifically.
Oh, okay. Noted.
But I'll eat all of them.
Got it.
What the fuck have you been up to? But have you been eating Jolly Ranchers?
No, but I was going to say, speaking of Code Orange, I am fully planning to decorate for Halloween right after the 4th. So producer, get ready. We need to get our box down from the garage. And I'm about to throw up Halloween everywhere in our entire house. So I'm very excited for that. Another cool thing is that the producer and I recently watched Wolfman for the first time. I don't know why I haven't seen it sooner. Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm very proud of myself for conquering my werewolf fear, but that film was really fucking good. I know it got a little bit of mixed reviews, but there was lots that I really loved about it, and I can't wait for us to do it on a deep dive. Because you haven't seen it, right?
Is it an older film?
No, it's very new. I think it's like 2024, maybe 2025.
Oh, shit. I don't even know if I knew it existed.
It has the gal from Ozarks. Her name's Julia Garner. So she's like one of the main gals. She plays like the mom in it, which I know seems weird because she doesn't seem old enough to be a mom. But anyways, I can't wait for us to deep dive on that one because I really, really liked it. I feel like you would enjoy it too.
You also just like werewolves, so...
It's so weird that they're like my biggest fear, and also I'm very intrigued with them. But here I am.
Balance. Balance is what it's called.
Yeah. Well, with all that said, Als, do you want to intro us into what film we are reviewing today?
Hell yeah, I do. Today we are reviewing Jaws 2 of 1978. And although we're reviewing Jaws 2, this year happens to be the 50th anniversary of the first Jaws.
You guys, this is so funny because we did Jaws, the first one, last summer to celebrate 4th of July. And we just like weren't mathing correctly because we could have planned to do it this year for like the 50th anniversary. So that's why you guys are getting Jaws 2.
You're welcome, but also kind of not.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. Did you have any like thoughts prior to watching this film? Any specific memories attached to it? Anything? Because I'm guessing you watched it when you were young, right?
Nah, bruh. This is my first time. Me and sequels are super fickle bitch.
Yeah. It's basically Leprechaun or nothing.
Yeah.
Is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And unlike my usual style, I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't look up posters or facts or anything. I just raw dogged it and went in not knowing anything. And my only thought was like, I hate sharks. Ugh. Then I figured out it's kind of a copy paste of Jaws, just with more horned up teens.
Could not agree more. And Allie, to quote a famous quote that you like to say in a lot of our films is, this could have been an email.
Yes.
Did
It
I
could have
use
been
it
an
right?
email
Yeah.
and I might not have read it.
Yeah. Even better.
Yeah. What about you? You probably did watch this as a little kid.
Oh, yes. With my Faja. Absolutely watched it with him many times. We were big fans of the first three. The third one, they go to SeaWorld. And then the fourth one, if y'all didn't know, Ellen's in the Bahamas. So that's a kind of a fun ride. But yeah, I feel like we watched mostly the second and third one, weirdly. Number one, always a classic, but like this one and the third one were playing a lot in my household. Honestly, I think it's because it was just on repeat on Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi channel. So I'm going to blame them for that.
It's kind of like how they play A Christmas Story all day on Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like if you haven't stumbled across that at some point, then like you're very sheltered and I feel bad for you.
I somehow have evaded A Christmas Story my entire life.
I'm very
impressed
or
and
scared
saddened
and a little scared. A little scared of you.
I am Sharky. But before we get into this, you guys, if you haven't seen Jaws 2, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to be spoiling the shit out of everything. So if you don't care and want to listen to us rant about it, keep on listening. And if you do care, stop, watch it, come back to us. But we're going to get on this fucking boat ride. So let's go.
Hell yeah. Jaws 2 is about Police Chief Brody, who must protect the citizens of Amity after a second monstrous shark attack begins, terrorizing the waters.
Okay, yes. I just want to know up top, how is this town so fucking unlucky to have so many sharks?
East Coast, man. East Coast.
We know nothing. We West Coast babies.
That's true. It's funny you say that too, Als, because the tagline for this film is just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, ... It's just so funny because this tagline has become one of the most famous in film history and has been parodied and homaged so many times, which I absolutely love.
I don't think this is a just when you thought. I think the day after Bruce got killed, they're like, let's go in the water, bitches.
No, totally. They have been, what is that? Ignorance is bliss. They've been living in an ignorant, or is that not really? No, it's not, because ignorance would assume that they don't know anything when they do know what happened with Bruce in the first movie. So scratch that.
Fuck it mentality is life.
There you go. Yeah, maybe in this one, arrogance is bliss. That might fit a little bit more. Do you agree?
I still say fuck it.
There you go, guys. Allison, here she is.
Allison says fuck it is bliss.
Perfect. This film was released on June 16th, 1978, and it was briefly the highest grossing sequel in history.
And I'm thinking that to me, that's odd because clearly we already know I did not like this movie. But I think that's probably because sequels were becoming more and more of a thing during this time.
The producer and I were listening to another movie review podcast called Unspooled, and they were talking about how sequels, they tend to do pretty well if the first film did well because everyone already kind of knows what they're getting into and are excited, and they've been introduced to characters and storylines, and I'm not fully surprised that this was pretty high grossing for a sequel. Anyways, despite opening on the same day as Grease, if you can believe it or not, this film went on to earn $77 million domestically during its initial release, and it eventually surpassed $100 million with reissues, ultimately earning $208 million worldwide.
Which I'm fairly certain Grease surpassed at some point.
That's a good question, actually. I wonder
It did.
if it did.
I looked it up.
Oh, okay. This film technically did better than Grease, at least in the opening weekend, but it might be because of sequel theory of people loved Jaws so much. So they were like, yeah, of course we're going to go see Jaws 2.
I'm sorry. All you need is John fucking Travolta
Is Danny Zuko.
as Danny Zuko. And you could do a 2-second clip. 1 second says Grease and then has Danny Zuko. I'm in. You're in. Girls are in.
Yeah. So Grease surpassed all expectations in your eyes if you were back then. Okay. Allie would have been seeing Grease.
And currently.
Yeah.
Yes.
This film, however, Jaws 2, got mixed reviews, and it received criticism for essentially duplicating the formula of the first, which is what you just said, Al. So true. And Roger Ebert flat out described the film as, quote unquote, pure trash. And Vincent Canby of the New York Times said, Jaws 2 never builds to a particular climax. It simply drones on and on like a television movie.
There was so much fluff, and I hate fluff unless it's a fluffy blanket. But this was not a fluffy blanket.
This absolutely was not. No.
So the fluff can fuck right off in this.
Maybe for the first time in our film review history together, I fully agree with you.
Thank you. We'll see if that remains throughout the review.
There's parts I loved, but I really did feel overall like it was fully copy-paste, too fluffy. could have been an hour 20, if that. I think that they just like had so much unnecessary shit in there. But we can get into it a little deeper.
It was probably like a contractual thing or just building off the hype of the first.
Exactly. Speaking of this film being very fluffy and overall just like not great in our eyes, this film got a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, which I'm going to say, I don't know if I've said this ever on this podcast, I think is a bit high.
Thank God you said that. I was holding my breath right there.
She's going to say, I disagree. It's a 10.
No, even like a 6, I would have been, no, come on.
No, I think this truly, if this were me rating this, I would say a solid 4.5 at the most.
Well, for the Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter says 58, which is kind of like 5.8 out of 10.
No, literally. Yeah.
And then popcorn meter is 40%. And I still could go lower on both of those scores.
Both?
Yeah. Harsh but true.
We're going to get to the cast and stuff in a sec, but I will say it has nothing to do with the cast of like the film or their acting. But anyways, I digress. This film was directed by Gino Schwark. Don't know if I said that right at all, so I apologize if that is not correct.
And RIP, they just passed away.
Very sad. RIP. Before this film's release, Steven Spielberg said at a film festival that making a sequel to anything is just a cheap carny trick, and that he did not even respond to the producers when they asked him to direct Jaws 2. And Steven later then added, I would have done the sequel if I hadn't had such a horrible time at sea on the first film. Poor guy. So sad. Even Roy Scheider, who reluctantly returned to reprise his role as Martin Brody, and his return was an obligation of a 2-film contract with Universal. So I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know about that as well.
You got to get that money.
Got to get that money, honey. Something else interesting is that Jaws 2 cost $30 million to produce, over 3 times more than the original and the most expensive film that Universal had produced up until that point. And a producer had said that they did not technically budget the film, quote, because Universal would never have given the green light to a 30 million film in those days. We're not wasteful, but we're spending the profit from Jaws, and it will take what it takes.
Bummer. I feel like that's
a lot of things here. It's just like, that's probably not the way that you should go about it. But this kind of stuff always makes me really interested in like the true business side of filmmaking. Just like all of like the budgets, the producers, all of the names, people, the creatives who are, clashing, all of that kind of stuff. Like, I find it so interesting. I don't want to be a part of it ever, but like, damn, a lot goes into that.
But think about it. It's like, have you ever looked at your corporate like hierarchy map?
Yeah, that's true.
They got the same thing. It's
very
just
similar.
But very different.
Yeah. Whew. And making something too that is so, everything about it banks on public perception. You could think you're making a blockbuster and it could flop so bad. Ooh, that kind of pressure. I don't know if I'd ever want it.
Would you rather have good public perception but less ROI, or bad public perception but people went to see it so you still made money?
I think the former. I would rather have good perception but less ROI for 2 reasons. One, just because I would feel comfort in knowing that like the craft was like well received. And then number 2, there are those cult classic films that maybe didn't do well back in the day, but they are freaking hitting now, and there's always room to come back, baby.
That's true. Not this one, but yeah.
What would you do?
Same. I would want money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I would want the reputation of making a good film, but I also want a house in like
Salem, Massachusetts.
Salem, yeah.
As well as a lot of other places.
Yeah, Tahiti, like, so balance.
Real quick, I know we're all chomping at the bit to get to the film, but I just wanted to quickly say that for the top billed cast, we've got pretty much everyone coming back from the first film that were like main heavy hitters, aside from Hooper and aside from Quint.
Yeah.
So we've got Roy Scheider playing Brody.
Sorry. You mean Captain Daddy. But.
Oh, okay. We have Lorraine Gray playing Ellen Brody, Murray Hamilton playing Mayor Vaughn, and Jeffrey Kramer playing Deputy Hendricks. So most of our main players are back. And now that we've gone through who is steering the ship behind Jaws 2, did you like that?
That was nice.
Okay, it gets better. Let's wade into the waters and break down what really happens when Amity Island gets attacked all over again. This film starts with two scuba divers exploring the sunken wreck of the Orca, if you remember that. And they have this huge camera rig and they are snapping pictures of the wreckage.
This is why we don't fuck with photographing underwater shipwrecks, please. Haven't you heard of the Titan submersible? Thank you.
As they are diving around this wreckage, something huge looms behind them. And you guessed it, it's another shark.
Do we see the shark, or we just infer it because we hear the dun?
We're inferring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think just from the context of watching this.
Oh, for sure.
You're like, okay, it's a shark.
Yeah, but let's pretend you haven't seen the first one.
True. You have no idea.
Yep.
But you're like, something's watching these guys.
John Williams is.
There you go. Just like Ali said, we start to hear the dunna, dunna, the soundtrack's coming back. And this leads to an attack of these divers. The attack, though, kind of happens off screen. So we don't see the actual shark. We don't see a ton happening, but there is a tussle. And in this tussle, the camera falls. And that's kind of that's that. But
that's our little opening baby.
That is our opening baby.
And curiosity, why do people keep diving in Amity's waters? Didn't the last movie just happen 3 years ago? Yeah. Short-term memory,
Great question. I was thinking about this too, because we even see later in the movie that there is a person giving a diver tour. Why are we, I guess it's similar to people that dive with sharks to this day, going to waters in Australia or going to Africa and swimming with great whites, swimming with leopard sharks, whatever.
They're
tiger sharks.
In cages.
Most of the time. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel you would think back in the 70s that was pretty big news.
They didn't have Instagram.
They didn't. So maybe news didn't travel as easily.
Yeah.
I also love how this shark really said sequel, who dis, and then showed up ready to cause some more generational trauma.
And you know what I've deduced, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. This shark is either Bruce's daughter or son, and they're the real victim here. They've lost their father, and they're about to go John fucking Wick on Amity and townspeople.
Wow. Okay. I could see the draw to John Wick here. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're thinking of this now as a revenge flick.
Yes. And our antagonist is this shark.
You mean the protagonist?
I mean the protagonist. It's been a long time since I took English in high school.
So then is Brody the antagonist?
Every human being
is the antagonist.
Is mostly the horned up teens, but
a fun fact I have is that the new sharks for this film were modeled from the blueprint of Bruce. So by proxy, his children, I suppose. And as a reminder, Bruce was famously named after Steven Spielberg's lawyer. And producer David Brown continued the tradition of naming one of the sharks Harold after his own lawyer, which I think is fantastic.
John Wick.
Here we go. So back in Amity, Brody is rushing to an Amity scholarship benefit in honor of his wife. And I think she's a realtor or something. And she's on the city council. So they are opening a new hotel and a new condo complex called Amity Shores. And the whole town is there to celebrate this.
I was just questioning, you were saying, what is her fucking job? Because I'm almost certain she didn't have one in the last film, but she be moving up real fast in these past few years. Ellen, you must have a killer LinkedIn. Tell me your tips and tricks.
Yeah, I think what I've gathered is that she is a realtor of some sort or some sort of property buyer, seller, broker, what have you. And she's got that creepy boss guy who's probably a higher up in the Amity property development stuff.
Probably does a lot of coke.
Yeah, he's scary. Yeah. I don't like him.
And this whole scene, for some reason, reminds me of the Hyatt Regency walkway collapse of 1981. Go look it up when you have free time.
I don't know what that is, and I am absolutely going to go and look that up.
I implore you to.
Oh,
it's fascinating.
All right.
And once Brody gets there, he's clearly late, and Ellen says, "Hey, act like you've been here the entire time." Brody asks, "Well, how?" And Ellen says, "Look bored." Love that for a husband.
She's like, "Don't look like you just got here." Also, something to note is that their younger son, Sean, is now a little older, and Mike is like a full-fledged teenager, and he loves boats and sailing, and he's got like some rebellious teenage energy going on.
He's like the least rebellious rebellion.
He is. He's still like sweet, and you can tell he's like not that bad of a boy.
And now
he's not a bad boy. That's what I call Cowboy, my dog. A bad boy.
Switching gears on bad boys. He's fucking hot now.
He does have that 70s like hot thing going for him.
Yeah, I'm into it.
But anyways, the whole town seems like they are trying to move on from everything that happened a few years ago in Jaws 1. They're developing their like beachfront property. They're trying to attract some tourists again. And Mr. Mayor Vaughn, he is still in the throes of everything. And you can tell he's still kind of shady and pushing for more progress for the town.
And regardless of all this, shady shit, this party looks kind of lit.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
It does.
I'm not sure why there are so many teens there, but that's nice. And Ellen suggests that her and Brody bounce so they can go fool around. And those are her words, not mine. Legit.
I mean, hey, Ellen was one of our favorites from film 1. So I'm going to say she's one of our favorites probably for film 2 as well. She was a silly lady. Then in another scene, we are now in the dark early hours of the morning. And we see a very quiet dock. There's no one out. There's all these boats. It's very foggy. And we see the first visual of like the water with the shark's dorsal coming out. So now we have confirmation. It is a shark. A shark is back. A baby shark. A baby Bruce.
Shark. Yeah, sorry. Well, I took this as John Wick getting ready to John Wick.
He's just ready. Harold in the early hours of the morning. And later that day, Brody and his deputy, Hendrix, are alerted to an abandoned boat. Brody sends Hendrix off to go check using like the police boat. If you remember from the first film, it's like their Amity police vessel. And he doesn't go with Hendrix. He's like, you just go, take the old man with you. It's like just some old man who's kind of assisting Deputy Hendrix. And he sends them off to go and look at this wreck. In another part of the dock, Brody's son, Michael, is getting ready to go sailing, and he meets up with a bunch of his friends, and one of his friends brings their cute cousin, Jackie, who's going to be kind of popping in and out of the film like later on, and definitely like a love interest of Michael's.
Jackie's not my type, but that's fine for Michael.
Same.
Yeah.
And all the teenagers are like sailing together, and it's just like a really cute scene because once they're like on the water, they have this like full on like boat to boat water balloon fight, which I thought looked really cute and fun and just like so innocent.
This is where we start to differ.
Okay.
Cute and innocent, sure. How are they? These little boats are tiny pieces of shitty pieces of wood and net put together. How are they not tipping these over with all of the movement, all of the people, all of the weight? It's like a bounce house, but on water.
I'm going to say 4 words. That's sailing for you.
Is that for? That's sailing for. Okay.
I counted before I said it, you guys. Come on. They both didn't trust me. They were counting it out off mic.
Okay, so what Emma deems as a fun little teeny bop moment, I call hootenanny.
I like that.
Thank you. Teen horned up hootenanny.
They're always horned up, aren't they?
They are. And can you riddle me this? Why the fuck is Michael not permanently traumatized by the ocean after the last film? Did he block it out? Did he see a therapist? Did he get hypnotized? Does he do too many drugs that he just like doesn't remember?
He didn't get directly attacked by the sharks. He was like in the vicinity of an attack. Still traumatic, sure. So I'm going to give you that. But let's think about Bethany Hamilton, pro surfer, lost her arm. She really got back in that water and said, I'm not going to let this control my life. And I think that that's kind of what Michael's doing here.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts.
Let's get her on here. Oh, wait, she's calling in.
Bethany, do you have any advice for Michael?
Michael.
Go and listen to Lost Boys. That's one of our favorite episodes. So as this little horned up teen hootenanny, did I get it?
Yes.
One of the teens in this whole situation is even kind of parasailing. And I mean that in like, I don't even really know the full definition of parasailing, but this kid is like up in the air. But I hate this part. I hate it. It scares the shit out of me because he's dipping down in the water and then going back up and then dipping down and going back up. And we see the perspective of the shark underwater, like watching his ass dip in the water, and he's going to take a bite of that ass.
That juicy ass. What I hate about this is there's a lot of these scenes of this is all fluff. There's a lot of these like teasing scenes that we could do without.
We could. That's true. But it's just trying to set up that like, oh, you all don't know. You're just having so much summer fun. And like, I'm lurking in the water, bitches.
And obviously, while this is all happening, we start to hear the John Williams score. And I'm like, bitches, don't you hear the donut donut? And I'm like, oh no, they don't.
They don't hear it. They don't hear it.
They do not hear it. I forget they're just horned up teens, and that's just where their brain chemicals are going and not towards the score of the movie. My bad.
Eventually, Hendrix makes his way back to the police station, and he has recovered the camera from the very beginning of the film with those two divers who were attacked. And first of all, this kind of goes along with what you were saying about Michael, but I'm not just Michael, but like spreading it out a little bit further. Like, why is everyone acting like the last movie wasn't like the most traumatic summer of their lives?
I think there's probably a couple of reasons. We are suspecting that they're in their teens. Somewhere within, I mean, you could tell me they're 30. I'd be like, yeah, they're 30. You could tell me they're 16. I'm like, yep, they're 16. We don't really know.
Yeah.
But thinking that they're teens because they're horned up teens, but they're in their dumb teen phase that they, you want to like
do cool things and be risky. And
And did you ever have a dumb teen phase?
Kind of, but like very tame. I was a very good girl. I followed the rules.
Yeah, that's nice. No, I did too. And I think I'm in my dumb adult phase. Like when I really enjoy eating something, but I know it's going to hurt my tum-tum, and I do it anyways.
Fuck it. Fuck the consequences.
Fuck it. It's bliss.
Fuck it is bliss. There we go. I also want to say, we're going to see this a little bit later in the film, obviously, but Brody, even though we've only gotten a small taste of him since the film has started,
Taste.
I feel like he's the only character in this town that has memory and common sense. Like you can tell even before when Hendrix went off on that little boat, on the police boat to go look at the wreck, Brody's like, I'm not getting on that shit. He's like, I'm not getting in the water.
I think... Yes, that's all good and well. But more importantly, why wouldn't you just fucking move? Whether it's 3 minutes after this happened, 3 months, or 3 years, get the fuck out of there. I'm sure you could find another sheriff job.
That's very true. Like, it's not like you are stuck to this. And I'm sure that if you were in some sort of a contract, that being attacked by a great white shark and surviving would give you enough to get out of that.
Go work at Home Depot. I feel like he'd be a great...
He would be so good at Home Depot.
Yeah,
wow.
Yes.
You know what? Maybe that's Jaws 5.
There we go. Did they stop after 4?
That's just the last one I remember. Then back in the water, a gal named Terry, she is water skiing with one of her girlfriends, and she is attacked while water skiing, and she gets immediately dragged underwater.
I don't know if you noticed this, but it's just Terry water skiing and a gal driving the boat, and she keeps looking back to check on Terry, and she's smiling, having a great time. But we as the viewer full on see the shark behind Terry. How does this dumb bitch driver not see that shark?
Fuck it is bliss. That's all I can say.
Not for these two.
I know. Yeah, Terry got dragged underwater. We don't really see anything that like happened necessarily. She like kind of just disappears. But then her friend and driver of the boat finds her empty water ski. And as she's picking up the water ski from like the side of the boat and has a confused look on her face, like, where's her friend? The shark headbutts into the side of the boat. And this woman tries to defend herself by using gasoline and a flare gun. But what does she pour the gasoline on? Herself. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean...
Me and the producer rewound it like 3 times, and we were like, wait a sec. At first, we were like, oh, maybe she was trying to pour it on the shark, and she just like missed. It looked very purposeful that she was trying to pour it onto herself.
It's a movie.
So she uses a flare gun as well, which inevitably causes the boat to explode. Like, bye-bye.
And now both of those girls are yeeted, and John Wick has taken its first horned up teen victims.
Well, and speaking of horned up teens, Tina and Eddie, who are a couple, they're like a teen couple and some of Michael's friends, they were getting freaky in the dunes right off the shore. And they see this explosion happen, as well as this older woman who lives close by. So the Amity police are called. And while Hendricks looks for evidence in the water of any people that might have survived, they can't find anything. No bodies are recovered, nothing. And the old woman is talking to Brody at one point, and she's like, I just don't know what could have done that. And Brody gets that look in his eye, like, it's a shark.
He gets, well, it's kind of also like the you dumb bitch look.
Yeah.
Like, you probably were here 3 years ago when we had a shark.
Yeah, what do you think it is, fucking lady? What's funny in this scene, too, is that Brody, it's very clear he doesn't want to get on a boat at all or in the water. So we got like a small smidgen of it in the previous scene, but this like really kind of confirms he's like, hell no. And he's obviously still very on edge from the events of Jaws, understandably so. But something I want to call back to, Als, with this like explosion of the boat is I just like couldn't help thinking about like, is this the first time a great white gets its own Michael Bay moment?
Or John Wick moment?
Both, perhaps.
I'll take both.
Yeah. Like I was thinking in my head, like, you know, you just see like the preview and it's like this big explosion. It's like great white shark. And then it's like directed by Michael Bay.
But after the explosion, the shark has to swim away and not look back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it causes more havoc. I love that.
Meanwhile, Hendricks is on a police boat trying to find remnants of anything they can find, body, you know.
Basically any clues that led to that like explosion.
Yeah. That fucking random explosion. And they feel something strong pulling at their rig. They're like, oh my God, we got something, whether it's, you know, a shark or a piece of boat or any kind of evidence. They pull it up just to find that it's an underwater power line that leads to this floating rock formation that has power supply on it. And are those a thing?
I'm gonna assume yes. I mean, I know that they do run power lines, I think, under the ocean.
They must.
They must.
But imagine how fucking terrifying of a job that is.
Oh, so scary.
That's a hard pass for me.
Yeah. So the next morning, Brody is at home, and I love this because it's literally breakfast, and he is chain smoking the hell out of some cigarettes. And he's talking with his family about Michael getting a summer job as they're all kind of having breakfast together. And Michael is like, you know, I was really hoping to like be sailing with my friends this summer. He's like, I'm actually going to go sail like today. And Brody doesn't tell him explicitly not to in like a hardcore way just yet. But he's like warning him. He's like, please be extra careful because things have been very strange lately. And honestly, I want you to just like get a job. He wants Michael to get a job so that he doesn't even have time to go sailing or into the water. Understandably so.
He should just sink his boat.
He should just take a sledgehammer. Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just get destroyed very easily.
Yeah. Or just give it to John Wick and say, here, play with this.
Here you go. So after family breakfast, Michael still going to go and sail with his friends. He meets up with his group of friends, and Tina and Eddie from the previous scene who witnessed that explosion of the water skiing boat, they're messing around, playing tag on the beach, having their little flirty, horned up teen time. Did you like that?
Thank you.
Yeah. And they stumble upon a 7.5 meter killer whale carcass that has been beached on the sand. This whale is just not a beached whale. It has huge bite marks taken out of it. And eventually a crowd starts forming around the body. And Brody calls in an expert, Dr. Elkins, to look at the body and examine the bite marks. Brody is very certain that it must have been a shark that had done this.
You know what's weird is I've seen 2 beached deceased whales in my lifetime.
I've never seen one. You've also lived in very beachy areas.
Yes. But people really, it smells like fucking ass. And people really do just crowd around it until they can like...
I mean, I don't blame them. I feel like that's such a spectacle to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
so
know.
gnarly. Crazy.
It's kind of sad because they're like taking pictures, like selfies.
Oh, that's, yeah,
so
that is kind
rude.
of sad.
But I'm pretty sure they just take the carcass and put it out back at sea so it is one with the ocean and other animals can eat it. What else are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah. Unless something were to happen to it and you're going to like study it for some reason.
True.
But so Dr. Elkins, she says that if it was a shark that took bites out of this killer whale, that it had to have been a shark of considerable size. But she's not convinced that it happened right at their beach. She says this killer whale has had these wounds for a little bit. It might have been like 15 miles off of shore or more. Brody then asks her, which is kind of funny. He's like, could a shark communicate with another shark like dolphins do and like whales do with like using sonar? He's trying to make a point like, hey, we had this shark go down a few years ago very traumatically. Could he have told his friends or his bebés like, hey, I'm in trouble?
Or like ghost shark?
Yeah, or ghost shark. Yeah. Dr. Elkins, she says, I love this part, in quote, she says, sharks don't take things personally, Mr. Brody.
Okay, she has not seen John Wick.
She has not.
And lady archaeologist, that is Dr. Elkins. I call her that because she dresses like she belongs in Indiana Jones.
She does. She looks like she's on a dig.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I dressed up as a archaeologist for a frat party one time. Everybody else was like doing their little like.
What was the theme?
Mummies or something. I don't know.
That's fun.
Yeah, but everybody's doing their little lingerie thing, and here I am with a massive like.
I think I've seen a photo of you.
You probably have. Yeah.
Yes.
It was awesome. I was awesome.
You are awesome.
I am awesome. But anyway, she suggests it's either, like you said, a larger shark or a killer whale. And aren't killer whales like way more vicious than sharks allegedly?
Killer whales are technically the only predators known to sharks, which is kind of crazy. Crazy. So it must have been a big shark.
Or a small killer whale.
Either or. Brody then warns Mike to stay out of the water. Even though Mike objects and he's super bummed, he had already had his boat out with his friends, and Brody's like, hell no, your friends are going to tow your boat back for you. You're coming with us. You're not getting back in that water. And he's bummed because he had a date with this Jackie girl, and his dad's low-key embarrassing him in front of his friends yet again. In this part, also, Brody then looks out to the ocean, and you can just tell that, like, in his heart, I know we have another shark stalking our waters.
But do you ever think that Mike is like, yo, fuckers, I was there too. I'm a badass too. No?
I just feel like I don't know if he's just like kind of blocked that part out. I don't know.
He's not like, yo, I'm a badass.
Like, I'll be okay. No.
No. I mean like, what up?
Oh, you mean like being kind of cocky about it? Yeah. Probably not.
He doesn't have it in him.
No, he doesn't have it in him. No. I have a question here too. So like, why is ignoring your father who literally survived a shark attack like such a classic horror move, especially in these types of shark movies?
Give me another example.
Like, I mean, Jaws, for instance, like throughout all of the films, I feel like there is, yeah, maybe that's my only one.
If you broaden it to not just sharks, then.
Okay, well then another question for you. And I know what you're going to say, actually. Does this like Michael and teen subplot really add anything? Or do you think that they are just chum waiting to be eaten?
I think it's all both. I think it's a sign of the times. You know, this is the horned up teenager horror film time.
It really is.
And you need chum while they're coming. They're chumming.
They're chumming.
They're coming.
They're coming. They're chumming.
But also, like, fuck that because it was such fluff.
That's what I mean. Is like, I just feel like it wasn't this like sub-teen plot is really not needed.
But if you don't have this sub-teen plot, then it's quite literally
nothing.
Just Jaws. The first
true.
One.
That's true. Brody then, after this whole like whale situation, he tries to have an immediate private conversation with the mayor about what he thinks is happening again. He's kind of trying to keep it a little bit under wraps so he is not alerting the whole town and he's not like freaking anybody out. And of course, Mr. Mayor, who has terrible intentions for the town, he's not buying it and he's not going to do fucking anything about it.
Fuck politics, am I right? How did this neglectful fuck get reelected?
Great question. And I had the same one. I'm like, why is this bitch? Why did he not get thrown?
Impeached.
Impeached. Thank you. I was like, I don't know why I thought of him as a king for a second. I was like, why did he not get thrown from the throne? Whoa.
Beheaded.
Beheaded. Ooh. Okay, Marie Antoinette.
I know. Where's that guillotine?
Oh, gosh. Later, as Brody is driving down the beach, he finds pieces of the skier's boat just offshore. This is a real pivotal moment where we're actually seeing his fear of the ocean like in real time. And he's by himself. He's patrolling the beach or driving back to his house or whatever. And he gets out of the truck. He sees the pieces of the boat. It's just offshore, but he does not want to go in to get it. And he has this internal like moment where he's just like trying to get at it, but he can't. He's on shore and he starts taking off his shoes and he's like, okay, like I'm going to get in a little bit.
This is so funny to me because he's like, he starts to go in and he backs up and he starts to go back in, he backs up and then he gets a little closer and he starts waving the piece of
he's like wafting it towards him.
I'm like, use that magic, Brody, use that magic. It's going to come to you. And finally he sacks up.
Yeah, he does finally go in about waist high and he goes in to get the boat debris. And as he's like picking up the debris and thinking, he's probably just going to grab it and bring it to shore, we get a fucking dead body that comes up with it. And honestly, I was not expecting that at all. And it turns out to be the girl who burned on the water skiing boat.
And like, just like you, I'm not gonna lie, this was a bit of a jump scare for me.
Yes.
Which usually doesn't happen, especially in these kinds of films.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting that. I feel like we kind of had like this lurking feeling like the shark is right there in the water that I was like, oh, cool. Love a good jump scare with a dead body. So that's one thing I can say I liked. Back at the station after this whole discovery, we get this really close-up scene of Brody making his own sodium cyanide bullets. He's dropping sodium cyanide into like the bullet. Then he's like sealing them up with wax. It is a really cool scene. It feels very like close up. It kind of reminds me of like Toy Story when like the doll maker is doing all of those restorations on Woody and it's all like through like a magnifying glass.
Wow. What a comparison.
Sorry, that's just what it made me think of. He tries to hide what he's doing as soon as Hendrix comes into the office.
Do we know what sodium cyanide bullets do to a shark or whatever?
Well, cyanide it's poison. Mm-hmm. So my assumption is that he's filling these bullets because he knows the bullets alone probably are not going to kill the shark. But he's like, if I shoot all 6 of these rounds into him, maybe I just poison him. And then he goes, me, 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 me.
Or have a better chance of like whacking it.
True. Oh, yeah. Weaken him enough to like be able to like capture it and kill it.
Yeah.
Probably. We don't know exactly what's going on in his head because he doesn't really give like the plan to anybody, unfortunately. But
it's called delegation, bro. Ask for help.
As a way to distract Hendrix from what's happening, because Hendrix can tell that he's doing something weird at his desk. And he's like, what? Like, what's going on? Brody's like, hey, why don't you go and take the camera and develop that film from the divers? And Hendrix is like, it's literally like 9:00 at night. And Brody's like, no, just go ahead and take it to the guy. Just do it. He's like, just trying to get him out of there. So Hendrix does agree. And then Brody goes home. He also tells Hendrix right before he leaves the police station, he says, hey, there's a long distance call that's going to be coming in. Can you please like direct it to my house? This next part pisses me off because we don't get anything other than this tiny 2-second snippet of this. As Brody is coming back into his house, Ellen is on the phone with someone and she's just telling them, oh, he's not here. I'll leave a message. And she hangs up and then he finds out that who was the person on the call? It was fucking Hooper from the first film. And he is on a project in Antarctica, I think is what he said. Somewhere like really remote. And he basically tells Ellen like he's not going to even be in radio frequency for like the next like 3 months. So that's it. That's literally it.
Was that necessary though?
No. Don't tease me with Hooper and then not have him help.
Totally.
It's kind of like in Jurassic Park 3. I love when like Alan Grant calls Ellie because he's like, I'm here on this island. I need some fucking help. And they get disconnected. And then she ends up saving the day in the end. And she sent the fucking Coast Guard to like go and rescue them off the island. Where like that would have been cool if Hooper came in later in the film knowing that there was some distress happening on the island again. That would have really made me be like, I like Jaws too.
That would definitely change my opinion about this film. I have not seen that movie. I'm going to give you another analogy.
Okay.
It's like in this show, and just like that, the Sex
Okay.
and the City show.
Okay.
So in real life, Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall got in a fight. That's why Kim's not in it as Samantha. But they have little odes to her. Like Samantha sends flowers to Carrie's husband's funeral. There's like one text.
See, like I love shit like that where it's like kind of coming around full circle. Like
Yeah.
if you're not going to have a character in it who everyone loved, that's fine. But like make it work somehow or just don't mention them at all.
Totally.
You know? At home, Ellen can really tell that Brody is like super stressed, but he plays it off. And he then tells Mike, he's like, Mike, well, I got you a job. It's going to last you all summer. And he says, I forbid you from sailing. And I love this part actually, because I don't know if you caught it, Els, but he says, you're grounded, you're beached. And I love that that's like how he says you're grounded is he's like, you're beached.
And he's literally, this is another embarrassing moment for him because he's going to be working on said beach where all of his friends are going to be frolicking and tanning. And
I think he's like painting bathrooms. Like it's like very not glamorous job.
No.
So the next day, the beach is lively and full of families. And this is giving Jaws 1 when everyone is enjoying Amity Island. It's very much peak summer, families all around. Just picture like a very crowded beach on like a beautiful day. The town council, Ellen, her like property manager guy, and the mayor, they're all giving a tour to some new prospective Amity residents, and they are stopping at the beach. And Brody, he is on a watchtower, and he is watching the beach very intensely. Actually, we find out that this is actually called a shark tower from one of the little girls who's like a prospective resident.
And the mayor like kind of looks at her and is like, don't fucking say the shark tower, bitch.
Yeah. But he's watching. He's like, I've got my eyes on the water. We're going to see what happens. And this whole like kind of sad scene plays out. Brody sees a very large shadow in the ocean and it's like moving towards the beach. So he panics naturally after everything he's been through and the town has been through. And he orders everyone out of the water. And to add to the panic even more, he fires his revolver at the shadow, only to find out that it is actually not a shark at all, but it is a harmless school of bluefish.
And that's like what the sharks kind of think is like, because they do that in self-defense. The fish do that in self-defense. They all gather to look like a bigger
predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That just sucks because Brody really went out on a limb to try to like save the town. And even if it is a false alarm, I would be like, hey, thank you for warning us. But everyone looks at him with like disdain. Like he just ruined their beach day. It's like, okay, you guys can shut the fuck up.
Go to a water park.
Yeah, go somewhere else then if you're like not going to be okay with someone watching out for a shark for you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But the mayor, Ellen, and the realtor, her boss guy, they're all horrified by this incident. And I can tell like Ellen is very deeply embarrassed. They're all just like, you know, we were just giving these prospective residents a tour and now this happens. It's just so sad. And then Brody's on the beach by himself and he's like picking up his bullet casings from his shots. And his little sweet son, Sean, his younger son, comes and just helps him pick up the casings. And it's like such a pure, like sweet little moment.
At least he has one good kid still.
Yeah, literally. Later that night, Brody then gets the developed camera film from the divers. As he's looking at one of the images, he sees a shark in one photo. It's not immediately clear. It's like very blurry, but it does look like the side of a shark's head and like an eyeball. And he immediately brings it to a very late, mind you, town council meeting. He's like, hey guys, like I have evidence that this shark is attacking again. And of course, they're all being assholes. They think that he's lost it. His antics, unfortunately, we find out do get him fired from this job as chief of police.
That, I mean, what did they get to do without a chief of police in the interim?
Is this town gaslighting Brody or are they just that much in denial?
I think it's both. I think half is naive, in denial. They just want their fun little summer with their cute little bathing suits. And the other half wants that tourist money for a new Chili's or Chipotle. And I vote Chili's.
If I have a say, I'm going to say Chili's.
I mean, what do you think? Chili's?
I think that they are so deep in denial. I truly think that they are just like, that was a one-time thing. That sucked, but we're going to move forward as a town. And we know that Mayor Vaughn has had really shitty intentions since the first film. So yeah, I just feel like they're like so deeply in denial. I really, truly don't think that they believe the whole shark thing is happening again.
Okay, let's say you, me, the producer, we go to some beautiful beach in Rhode Island. We know almost nothing about it, but we do some research and learn that there was a shark attack 2 years ago. We have this trip planned. Are we going in the water?
Yeah.
Oh, bye.
Me and the producer are shaking our heads.
I'll be in the shark tower trying to save you.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't think it would like fully deter me. I think I'd maybe be just like a little extra vigilant, but it wouldn't keep me completely out of the water. Like sharks are in the water every day.
That's why I don't go.
But Jaws is another beast. Am I right? Boom-ch. No?
No.
Okay. Anyways. Alice, one thing you mentioned a little earlier, you asked why the Brody family hasn't like moved. And I have it in my notes, like, should they have just moved to the mountains after the first shark? Like, I feel like Brody would thrive there.
Yeah, because he's already worked at Home Depot in the interim.
Now he's a lumberjack and has a beard. And now he's worried about bears.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. But
he's worried about Bart the bear from The Great Outdoors.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yes.
Deep cut.
And you know what? Who can't help him? The one that protects you from fire.
Smokey,
that one. So rather than Jaws 2, his next movie would be Bears.
Oh my God. They could really go far with a bunch of different scary animals in the world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity to make this like a full-blown, huge franchise, bigger than it already is.
So maybe they should hire us.
Yeah, they should.
Cool.
Okay, so that evening, while everything is going down at this like town council meeting, the teens are at a goddamn bar, ?
That's what I was confused. I mean, the bar looks litty as fuck.
The bar looks like a place that we would
100%.
definitely get down. So,
but again, in the 70s, we didn't know the drinking age. I want to say it was like 18.
Yeah, it's just a little confusing on their whole age. It's like, are these kids in college? Are they in high school? Are they a mix of both? Who knows?
Do you think fake IDs were a thing back then?
Potentially. I think they probably have been since the creation of IDs.
Are they going to say the creation of man?
Passing off just some fake identification.
Yes.
So all the teens are talking about going to the lighthouse the next day, and they want to go and have a picnic. And Jackie, you remember Mike's little love interest, who he didn't get to go on his little date with, she tries to convince Mike that he should go, but he's like, no, like, I'm sorry, I'm grounded, I'm beached, and I can't.
And she says, do you always do what your parents tell you to? Okay, little siren.
Okay, we do have some news. This is live from the producer right next to us. He did confirm that the drinking age was 18 up until 1984. So yeah, maybe some of these teens could drink. It was a little bit like that nightclub that you used to go to that was like 18 and up.
Inferno.
That's
yeah.
what it was. Okay.
I didn't see velvet walls at this bar in the movie, so maybe.
No, very divey.
Yeah.
Later, Brody makes it back home and he finds Ellen is in the house with Hendrix, his deputy, and they are talking about how he just got fired. And let me tell you, Brody does not look good. He is quite a drunk man. Wait, real quick. Small fun fact, though, in this scene is that in a second, we're going to see this like yellow planter in front of the Brody's home. And this yellow planter is, in fact, one of the yellow buoys from the first film. So I thought that was kind of cool.
It's cute.
But yeah, anyways, Brody is drunk, delusional about what happened. And he's just like, guys, we should have a drink. Let's toast to the new chief. So he's inferring that because he got fired, that Hendrix is now the new chief.
Yeah, and you can tell he's not trying to be an asshole, but he's just sad and trying to act happy for Hendrix. But you can tell he's like very down on himself, and it's giving me daggers.
And even Hendrix is like, no, chief, you're my chief. He's like, I don't want this. But then he eventually gives in because Hendrix is a nice guy. And it's just like a sad little scene. So Hendrix then goes home. Ellen is trying to aid this wounded husband of hers, and they go to bed. The next morning, very early, Mike sneaks out, and he is obviously going to try to go sailing with his friends and have this little lighthouse picnic. He reluctantly has to bring a little Sean because Sean almost snitched on him. And Sean's like, bruh, bring me with you or else I'm going to tell mom.
Well, you know whose fault that is Mike, because he was making way too goddamn much noise trying to get out of that house.
You ain't being sneaky, brother.
And it never ends well when you have to bring your younger sibling along.
No, hello, Hereditary?
Yeah. Hello, Halloween Town?
Mm-hmm. Hello, Talk to Me?
Yep.
Hello?
Mhm. Hello.
Hello. I let you in. No, I don't. Just kidding. Door closed.
Door closed. Yeah.
So not far away from all this, we see a diver named Tom Andrews, and he is on a boat out on the water, and he is leading a group diving expedition.
They're trying to go get some lobster.
Yeah, they're going to get some lobster, and they're going to just like have a good old time. This is one of those scenes where it's just a lot of fluff. It's a lot of them just swimming around. We are, quote unquote, seeing the perspective of the shark, watching them through the water, but it's way too long. I think they could have cut this scene like completely if it were up to me. But minutes into this dive, Tom sees the shark and he panics and he rushes up to the surface of the water. If you are a diver, you know that that can be really bad pressure and cause a lot of issues. So he does survive, but he suffers an embolism from the pressure. And I just want to say, in this whole like underwater scene, I was telling the producer, I would be so scared to be doing underwater scenes with the mechanical shark. Even though I know it's fake, it's still fucking scary.
You should YouTube movies that actors have to be underwater. It's wild.
I think I'd be terrified. And I'm a really good swimmer too, but I'm like, there's just something about, we all like swim in swimming pools and we think there's a shark in there. It's irrational fears. Like, I know this thing's fake, but I'd be fucking scared.
Remember at my bachelorette party and the lights wouldn't stop turning red in the pool? And then I saw two ghosts. That was a wild one.
I love it. And back at the Brody house, Martin and Ellen don't think anything bad about Mike not being home. And Brody is like, honey, I'll give you a ride to work or like into town. He's like, I got to stop by the police station, clean up my desk, fill out some paperwork, return the truck, the iconic truck. He's like, let's go. And they don't think anything weird of Mike not being home. And they also just assume that Sean is outside playing somewhere.
That's fucking insane.
But
it is
that's
the 70s?
The 70s. I think my parents probably had a very similar upbringing because everyone played outside.
Yeah, and it's like basically once the street lights come on, then you go home and have dinner.
Yeah, literally.
They're like latchkey kids. To live in a time like that, I can't even imagine.
I know, so wild. Back out at sea, we are with our favorite little teen couple, Tina and Eddie, and they're on their own boat, and they're having a grand old time. They're not really close to anyone else. They're sort of off on their own, and things are getting all flirty, and they're like, oh, we're out here in the middle of nowhere. You know what that means. But as things are getting a little frisky,
they're trying to fuck.
Yeah, the shark slams right into the hole and knocks Eddie overboard. And in this very sad scene, we see him killed right at the side of the boat in front of Tina. Also, I want to note, this part of the film is kind of back and forthy until Brody gets into the water with the teens.
Before we go back to town, what would you do if this happened?
I think I would have gone into fight or flight, but I would go into like flight where I would just get my shit together and fucking go. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but this is Tina's boat. It says Tina's Joy on it. So I'm assuming she knows how to sail. I'm sure all those teens do. So if it were me, I'd get the fuck out of there, take a note of where I am so that I could tell the police, like, when I get back, this is what happened. But I also don't know. I could have also just gone into the hull of the ship and just been like a little traumatic shell of a human and been scared. Who knows?
It could be Tina's Joy because Eddie named the boat after her too, and maybe she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
That's true. Producer actually did think that it might have been his boat, but I guess we'll never have that clarification.
Eddie's not here to tell the tale.
He's not here to tell the tale. Poor Tina is a shell of herself. Anyways.
Aren't we all?
In town, as Brody is giving Ellen a ride, they see Tom Andrews from the diving boat being loaded into an ambulance on land, and Brody immediately suspects that this shark is back. I mean, he's getting a lot of clues. There have been a lot of concrete pieces of evidence that this shark is back.
Dude, there's too much evidence. This is insane how they're really, really letting this drag out.
Oh, yeah. And Brody's chatting with Hendrix. They're talking about like what happened, and Hendrix tells him like, oh, he just came up too fast. He had embolism. But then Hendrix just kind of casually tells Brody, oh, yeah, like Mike's out sailing with all the kids. Hendrix doesn't realize that that's a big no-no, and Mike was not supposed to do that. So Brody and Ellen panic. They grab the patrol boat, and there's a little bit of like a back and forth because Hendrix technically is not supposed to let Brody take it. I mean, he's not the chief of police anymore, but Hendrix comes to. He has some objectives because he's liable for the boat, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to help you guys anyways. While they are out kind of searching for the teens, they do come across Tina's boat.
At first, we obviously don't see anything.
There's no sign of anyone. The boat is just there floating.
But I don't know if you thought this too, but I'm like, bitches, look under the thing. You say the hull?
I think that's what it's called.
Look under the front of the boat that is covered.
The bow? Is it the bow?
I think the bow is the back. The front of the boat that's covered with wood. I'm like, look under there, dumbasses. And then we hear like some whimpering.
Yeah, it's so sad. She's frozen and she is in that part of the boat. She's mumbling just like, no, no, no. And Brody carefully like collects her, takes him into his arms, and she's like, it's still there. And then she screams, shark. Here we go. This now has fully confirmed Brody's worst fear.
Bro, I feel like that it has been confirmed.
Several times,
but now maybe other people are starting.
He's had another person say, okay,
yeah,
shit, there is a shark out there. Ellen and Hendrix take Tina to safety in another boat that was passing by, and Brody heads off solo to rescue the rest of the teens using the police boat. What do we think this movie was trying to say about ignoring authority figures? Don't go boating or you'll be shark snacks?
Don't have sex, otherwise you're going to get stabbed with an arrow. It's those rules, man.
Lots of life lessons here. Lots of life lessons.
But again, they're leaning into that teen genre.
And just that like innocence where they haven't been through even though Mike has been through, they all have arguably been through this shark stuff, but they're just kind of like ignoring it all and just, well, we're going to go still have fun anyways. It's like such a teen thing. It's like to do the risky thing and then get the consequences, get paid for.
Right. It's the fuck around and find out.
Literally. So back with the teens, things are kind of going sideways a little bit, literally. If you remember, they all wanted to go to the lighthouse, but when they get there, Mike, I think, right, he makes like a note. He's like, oh, let's actually go to the other side because I know of like a better beach.
Yeah.
And they end up in this weird like rocky outcrop that is next to, I think it's called Cable Junction, and it's like a little rocky island. When they're in this area, they get attacked by the shark. It is this kind of crazy moment. He goes after several of the teens, tipping over their boats, knocking kids into the water. He's like stranding them towards this rocky outcrop because they have drifted away from that island with the lighthouse.
Yeah, like the tide or whatever took them where they didn't want to go. It's like a floating rock formation with power source on it.
Yeah, it's not a place that you can easily get your boat to like get off.
And it down below under the water are those power lines that we saw at the beginning when they were pulling shit up.
Spooky
power line. Hey, da, 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 da. If you haven't seen the Goofy movie, please go watch it.
After the shark kind of leaves them alone, I don't think anybody was attacked in this exact scene, but it was just like all their boats got kind of fucked up. They end up clinging to all of their overturned sailboats, and Mike is thrown overboard at some point, and he ends up unconscious. Some of his pals then bring his body into the sailboat just in time before a shark tries to attack. It turns out Mike must have hit his head on something or gotten injured in some way because he's bleeding pretty bad. The guys that brought him up to their boat is miraculously one of the boats that didn't get damaged by the shark. So they're like, we're going to take Mike and go get help. And they leave his little brother, Sean, stranded on another boat with just one gal.
And it's tipped over. P.S. I'm not sure if you noticed this, but the boat that takes Mike back is called Sea Witch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Same here.
Oh, cute. And I love those guys too. They're like two little nerdy guys. They were fun.
They're the nerdy guys that at the beginning of the film during like the gala were like, fuck this. Nobody wants to dance with us. Let's spike this punch. But I noticed that at least Mike is wearing a life vest now, and everybody wear a life vest.
Please wear a life vest.
Especially if you're in a fucking dingy, sketchy ass little wood boat thing.
if you are on a boat and you have been separated from your little brother, if you are going to be taken to safety, please have good friends that would have the wherewithal to bring your little brother along too, so that they can get you both to safety. That's all I have to say. Anyways, after Mike is taken away to try to go get some help, the rest of the crew decide to tie their broken boats together to kind of form this like big raft type structure, which I think is really smart, to be honest.
It's giving Castaway.
It's giving Waterworld.
Ah.
Kevin Costner, anyone? And meanwhile, Brody, who is in the police boat, he has taken it now and is by himself. I'm also proud of him. For getting on a boat again. He finds himself at the lighthouse where he was told that the kids are, or the teens, but they are nowhere to be found. So he keeps looking. He radios one of the Harbor Patrol helicopter people, like, hey, can you look out for them? I think they tell Brody at some point, like, hey, I'm by the lighthouse. I don't see them. And Brody's like, okay, like, keep looking. One of Brody's Harbor Patrol helicopter friends ends up getting a hit on where the kids are. He finds them. He kind of like brings his helicopter down onto the water and he tells them all to just like stay calm. He's like, I'm going to throw you guys a rope. I'm going to tow you to like this certain area and then I'll send the Coast Guard out for rescue. So they think that they're like being saved and they're so stoked.
Why wouldn't they just get in the helicopter? Like throw the line down, have them come up, or is it too small of a helicopter?
It might only be able to take so many people. And the helicopter guy, he probably has no clue that this is like a shark thing going on. He probably thinks they're just like
stupid,
that they're stranded and stupid. And he's like, oh, I can just tow them, like they'll be fine. A couple layers in there to that onion.
I wonder if helicopters of that size can actually tow a shit ton of boats. I
had that question too, but we are unfortunately not going to find out because as this helicopter man is connecting the tow line to his helicopter and he's giving the other end of the line to the kids, the shark jumps up and bites down on the side of the helicopter, taking it completely down and sending pieces of the repeller just like, what is that called? Ninja Star? Right at their like sails and at all of them. Like terrifying.
I can't believe it didn't hurt any of them.
No, I know. Same. It's so scary. The shark is clearly getting super restless. He's like, I can't get any of you bitches. I'm going to take this helicopter guy. Like, y'all aren't going to get away from me. And at some point in all of this like riffraff, I don't know why I'm deciding to call that riffraff.
Oh.
Sean accidentally falls in at one point, and Marge, the gal that he was on the boat with, thankfully, at least she's like a smart lady, she goes in to swim after him. But while she's in the water, she is taken by the shark and eaten right in front of Sean. Talk about fucking traumatic.
Like literally instantly. John Wick has a buffet of enemies and he is trying to get all of them.
He is a hungry bitch. He really is. Meanwhile, Brody actually comes across the sailboat that has Mike aboard. He's like stoked, thinking like, oh my God, I've got Mike. Everything's like going to be okay. But then Mike tells him, he's like, Dad, Sean is out there still with the other teens. This just brings a whole fucking new level of panic to the situation. Not only did you think one of your sons was out there the entire time, but now you know that your youngest son is out there by himself. That is so scary. Brody eventually finds the stranded group of teens just in time, right as a shark is going in for a final attack. But Brody, unfortunately, crashes his boat into the rocks of that like cable junction little island thing. He's like, don't panic. It's going to be fine. I'm going to try to pull you guys towards the rocks so that you guys can at least like get off your little raft. But as this is happening, one of the other girls gets attacked. She does survive, but she gets like kind of narrowly missed by the shark.
Is it the one that's
the blonde one with like the long hair, but not Tina?
Okay, one of them bothered the absolute fucking shit out of me. Who was it?
It might have been her.
Just incessant screaming. Screaming. It was Jackie. Yeah, that's what I thought. See, I don't like Jackie.
Jackie's the short-haired one that Mike likes.
She was screaming nonstop, and I'm like, girl, you first of all, you loud and annoying. Second of all, you're going to lose your voice and it's not going to be useful anymore.
Yeah.
Third of all, maybe try a different haircut. I don't know.
It's not working for you,
It's not working for me, so it can't be working for you.
I know that we've mentioned like this Cable Junction little island a couple times, but fun fact about this is that Cable Junction, the rocky island, was actually a floating barge covered with fiberglass rocks. And this was created in order to enable the shark platform to be positioned to it as close as possible, just to make like filming and everything easier. And at one point, this fake island broke free in the middle of the night and started drifting towards Cuba.
In like real life?
Yeah.
What'd they do with it?
Oh my God. They found it and they brought her back.
Damn.
That's some funny.
No, that's scary. That's some dedication. Imagine just like walking to the beach and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. You're like, this is a floating weird island used for a shark movie. Cool.
It's like an iceberg, but not.
But fiberglassy.
But fiberglass. Ooh. Itchy.
Then, trying to save Sean and with no weapons, Brody sees a power line. He pulls up the power line on the rig of his boat and he climbs onto it like he is ziplining in the jungles of Costa Rica. He tries to lure the shark over and he's successful in this. He gets to like the middle of the line and he crawls onto it, lures the shark over, and he throws the line into the shark's jaws just as it is like going after him. And the shark bites down on the cable and gets absolutely fried. Might I say sizzling shark steaks, anyone?
Ooh.
And then basically, fiend.
And the credits roll and there it is.
And don't worry though, because why?
Because there's always another fucking shark.
John Wick 3.
Yes.
I have a couple questions too while we like round this out. First off, did Brody just invent the electric chair for sharks?
The electric braces. The electric floss.
Headgear.
Headgear.
Ooh. I also want to point out that Brody in this like final scene, this is true king behavior. This man has PTSD, no job, and he still risked it all to save not only Sean, but like these fucking rebellious kids.
These
like,
fucking asshats.
True king though.
No, for sure.
I will say he did fulfill that 2-year contract. Thank you, Roy Scheider.
Yes. I hope he got his cash money. And I'm pretty sure he must regain his job after this.
He's got to be like rewarded. Like, what do you get? Like a Purple Heart from the president or something?
He gets the key to the
he's
city.
He's not in the military, but yeah, okay. The key is the city.
Key to the city.
We'll go for that.
Yes.
Also, Als, you're going to laugh because I'm pretty sure I've asked this to you before, but since you brought up Kim Cattrall a little bit earlier, have you seen Creature with Craig T. Nelson and Kim Cattrall?
I think you ask me this like every time. And the answer is still no. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking how fucked Brody would be if there was a shark that could be on land.
I'm wondering where Brody would like thrive. Something's telling me Jackson Hole. Yeah, just a landlocked somewhere.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he's going to take that advice and we'll check that out in the next couple Jaws films.
Yeah. We know Ellen doesn't follow that advice.
No, she doesn't.
I feel like my prediction, because I haven't seen the third or the fourth, I feel like they're going to get divorced and she's going to go live her fucking life.
We shall see. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, I loved when Sheriff Brody is trying to conjure the piece of boat
out of the water.
Out of the water. He's just
from the shore.
Just it's like literally a foot and a half away from him. Even I'm scared of water. Even I would go do it. And he's just like, come on. He's
like, come here, little debris.
Just right here. It's like me trying to hoard my cats out of the garage when they're not supposed to be in here.
But you can't reach them. You can't get to them.
But what I do is shake the food and they come. I can't shake the food at the piece of the boat.
You can't. You could shake yourself.
Hey, shake.
And then the shark will come.
Shake.
Sonora. Shake your body, Lana.
What was your favorite?
Another Brody scene. I think my favorite was him crawling on that power line like it was a zip line and shoving it into the shark's mouth.
He's full on. I don't know how to explain it. So there's the power line and he's like shimmying. He's like his back is like towards the water. Mm-hmm. He's got his arms wrapped around and his legs wrapped around and he's like shimmying. I'm like, that is fucking dangerous right there.
I'm going to say it again. King behavior.
Mm-hmm.
King behavior. Mm-hmm. Did you think this film was scary?
Fuck no. Did you?
No, but I can sympathize. In 1978, if I saw this, fuck yeah, I'd be scared because I'm scared of sharks. I think I would have been a little bit more scared.
I am scared of sharks. I think the scariest part of this film was how long it was.
God damn it. That is so true. I know we talked about it at the top, but guys, there's so many of these scenes that just like, but we cut out so much from our notes. Allie and I said at the beginning of this episode, we were like, there's just so much that we don't need to mention, like, because it's just not pertinent to the plot at all. So
you guys, take the fluffy blanket, not the fluffy movie.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Please. Well, guys, that was Jaws 2. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks if you want to see what we are up to. And if you'd like some bonus content, then please come and join our Spooky Chicks social club on Patreon. We love all of our friends over there. You can also support us by leaving a 5-star review wherever it is that you listen. We love, love, love you guys letting us know how much you love the podcast. And it really helps us to get seen in like directories and just kind of get our podcast out there to the spooky world. But honestly, the best way to support us is just by telling another friend who loves horror. And with that, Allison, would you like to close us out?
Fuck yeah, I would. I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th of July. Happy 50th anniversary to Jaws. Watch out for schools of bluefish because they might be bluefish, but they could also be a shark. And stay spooky fuckers.